All right. Good day to you all. Welcome to Village Church. Glad you are here. If you are new, a special welcome to you. My name is Mark. I am the senior pastor, teaching pastor of the church. Good to have you. We are in the book of Psalms. You got a Bible, open up Psalm chapter 3. That's where we are. In Psalm chapter 1, what we saw was this idea that there are the wicked and there are the righteous, and the righteous will live as people who have the law of God over their life, defining for them how to actually live. In Psalm 2, we saw that we're supposed to trust because there's this true king, the Messiah, the anointed one, who no matter what's going on in the world and the universe and life, he's going to win in the end. And so we're to live our life in light of holding on to him and his accomplishment for us. That was Psalm 2. And now we hit Psalm 3. And Psalm 3 is great, especially this time of year, because it's a depressing psalm. Perfect, just in time for the holidays, all right? But legitimately, because it's a psalm that's all about, there are going to be various circumstances that come about in the life of the godly man or woman, and we've got to figure out how to trust God in the midst of those circumstances. So Psalm 3 comes together and it kind of lays out this man. Life sucks right now. There's pressure, there's stress, there's family against me, there's financial stress, my marriage is against me, my work is against me, there's friends against me. It seems like all the pressure is coming to me from every single angle, and I don't know what to do, but here's what I want to do. I want God, you to do something. I want you to give me theology, I want you to act, I want you to help me. And if you're new to church and you're exploring Christianity, it's a good thing for you to hear, because this is where you're gonna see the Bible's just real. It's legit. It's like, it doesn't pretend that, life is perfect, and even if, and when it's not perfect, you're supposed to act perfect, and you're supposed to say the right thing all the time. Psalm 3 is just raw. It's just real. It's like, God, I don't like what's going on in my life, and I'm gonna tell you about it. It is what J.I. Packer calls a complaining psalm, and it'll fit perfectly with some of you. All right, so, Psalm chapter 3, just listen to it, man. Oh Lord, how many are my foes? Many are rising against me. This is literally my December, all right? It just feels that way, right? It's like there's people against me, there's circumstances against me, there's work, I got work to do, I got Christmas parties. I don't understand why we all have why do we all need to get together right now? I don't get it. Come over. There's a Christmas party this day, Christmas party that. I got 3 today, bro. That's not even a thing. That's like, it's work day for me. And I got 3 Christmas parties. It's like, can we get together in June? Is anyone getting together in June? Because we could just hang out in June. I don't know why we have to all ram it in at everybody I know. I gotta come over. It's like, I'm stressed. I got a deadline with a book that I'm writing. So Zonderband's breathing down my neck. Where's the book? I'm like, knock it off. Oh, my foes are rising against me. It's like, now, it's the stress. It's the pressure of life. It's December. All right, it's all of that. It's what now? Obviously, maybe you don't have actual physical foes, that we're going to talk about the historical context of this thing, but you have life, you have stress. And so this is a psalm. There's a lot of different kinds of psalms. There's psalms of ascent and petition and praise. This one's of lament. This is a complaining psalm. This is a psalm that goes deep into what David experienced, which is spiritual depression, what Martin Lloyd-Jones called spiritual depression, which is going to be really good for some of us, because to be honest, many of us across our 6 sites as a church deal with depression, emotional depression, mental challenges, circumstantial challenges in life, what many people have called spiritual depression. There is a long history in the church of spiritual depression, of people who are just struggling and feel the heaviness of spirit. I'm reading through some of the works of Charles Spurgeon right now. And Charles Spurgeon was, he's called the Prince of Preachers. He was a preacher in the 1800s in London. He preached and created, at 26, 27 years old, the first mega church that Britain had ever seen, 10,000 people. And he would get up constantly, and he admits it through his writings, that he had depression. He struggled with depression in his life, emotional, spiritual depression. So much so that one day he stood up in front of his church and he said, I do not suppose there is any person in this assembly who ever has stronger fits of depression of spirits than I have myself. personally. This is what he's wrestling with, is this idea. He says, it feels like a cobra had bitten me and filled my veins with poison. It's the dark night of the soul. And so if you don't have that now in your life, you may have it as it comes, or you just might have circumstances as your life develops where you're gonna feel destroyed. You're gonna feel like this psalm talks about. Oh Lord, how many are my foes? Many are rising against me. Many are saying of my soul, there's no salvation for him in God. It's just, the world seems stacked against you and you don't know what to do about it, right? That's the beauty of this psalm, is it doesn't say, okay, you're just supposed to act nice and you're supposed to talk to God with these nice little cliches and you're supposed to go through life pretending you're not actually struggling. It doesn't say that. He actually does something else. He gives us a way through. He tells us how to deal with the heaviness of life in a very fascinating way, because there's ways that we deal with the heaviness of life. We deal with it by, and you can go through all the psychology books and they talk about this. We deny it. All right, so we pretend that it's not happening. We go through life, we say our theology is fine, everything's fine in life. I talk to God in pear-shaped tones and tell him everything's great and nothing's ever wrong with my life. And so we just play the game of denial. Others of us, we project onto other people. So we blame our coworkers, our family, our circumstances, our parents, our friends, our family, whatever. And we just kind of go through, we blame everybody else, but we never take responsibility for ourselves. That's called projection. And so we do denial, we do projection, or many of us play the victim. We just walk around like Eeyore and we're like, I don't know. The world's beating up on me, and everybody, you're just victim mentality all the time. When bad things happen, you're victim, you're victim, you're victim. And those three ways are not the way this psalm deals with the garbage of life. But we love this psalm and we're gonna see a cluster of them now, where they deal with the reality of life. And so if you're here and you're exploring Christianity, it's amazing, because here's what we love about the Bible. It's real. It's not fake. It doesn't pretend that it goes, man, sometimes when you try to remain faithful to Jesus, that's when the pressure actually starts. That life is easier if you actually don't try to follow the ways of God in your life, because you coast through and you don't ask the deeper metaphysical transcendent questions of the universe or your own soul or your circumstances or giving up control. But when you start to do that, that's when life starts to feel pressure. That's when people turn against you. That's when circumstances turn against you. That's when marriage might get harder, finances might get harder, stress or whatever. And here, that's you. And if it's not you yet, it will be. You're gonna find yourself in the Psalms. It's beautiful. One writer has said, the scriptures speak to us. Most of the Bible speaks to us. The Psalms speak for us. And that is never more true than it is in Psalm 3, because he deals with, how are you gonna deal with all of this? Okay, now, go back up to verse 1. So hopefully, you gotta bring a Bible for this series. I'm not giving you much of the TV. I'm gonna give you TV every once in a while, but again, we're embracing the art of this thing. This is poetry, all right? So I'm gonna delve into music sometimes and movie clips and try to retain the spirit of the arts actually affecting our life. But listen to this. So you need your actual Bible or your phone or your iPad, pull it out, move along the text with us. So he starts this way. Psalm 3 says this. It starts, a psalm. Okay, stop. What's a psalm? All right, that's literally the title, a psalm. It's the Hebrew word mizmor, and it literally means a poem put to music with a music accompaniment. So it's the idea of literally a song. And the beautiful thing about a song is that it's not some sentimental nonsense. It's just not, okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. This is supposed to be a song, so I'm gonna sing it to you, all right? Here we go. Oh Lord, how many are my... I'm just joking, I'm not gonna actually sing this. But the reality is, so you're like, oh, this is legit. This guy's gonna sing us a song. All right, no. But the thing about music is it's not some sentimental nonsense. It's not like, oh, it's a song. It's so cute. It's a song. No, songs are rebellious things. Songs should be subversive. Songs are the things, like art in general, that need to wash over your imagination in the midst of the empires that you live in. If you were to turn on MTV, think about the power of music. And that's all you had. You would begin to think that life was just about money, half-naked girls, glitz, glamour, that money did this, champagne always flowed, that everybody had rims all the time, and everyone just walked around in the sun. You would think that that's reality, and you watch that enough, and your imagination begins to think that is reality, and those are the things you're supposed to go after. And listen, if you're a teenager, right, you begin to think that that's reality, that that's success, that that's the things you got to go after. That's what music is going to pump at you constantly. And here's the Psalms. This is the music that's going to fight the empire. This is the music that has to overwash your imagination with a counter reality and a counter kingdom that says, that isn't what womanhood is. That isn't what money's for. That's not what success looks like. It's the Psalms that are going to be the music that wash over your imagination to give you an alternative reality. And so with your kids, this is supposed to be your playlist. We homeschool our kids, so we get to do what we want. And so one of the things we do is we give them, a couple weeks ago, we gave them Psalm 1. Kid, write it out. Reflect on it. Let this music wash over your brain, because you're hearing a lot of other music, giving you a lot of other messages. But the Psalms come at you and it's supposed to. So guys, use this book, the Psalms, to wash over your life, to give you alternative realities of who God is and what your soul's about and what success is, what life is really about, because you're getting messages. Every time you turn on music, every time you turn on a movie, every time you turn on TV, there's constant messages that are very powerful because they're working on video and audio, when sometimes the Bible's just on audio for you. You're like, I don't know, I'm distracted by the temptations of the world. So that's what he says. He says this is a psalm, and then he said of David, look, when he fled from Absalom, his son. So Psalm of David. So who's David? David was the second king of Israel. There was Saul first. Saul was a disaster. And so God really went after David. He was the youngest of a bunch of kids, and God loved him, and he was a man after God's own heart. And David was a young shepherd, and he took care of sheep, and he actually was a very tough guy. He actually fought off, he claims, a lion and a bear, maybe multiple times, from his sheep. So this is a pretty legit guy. All right, this guy's jacked up. He can fight off bears. I don't know when the last time he did that, but that's David. And yet, he's also a songwriter and a poet and an artist, where he would sit out in the fields with his lyre or whatever, and he'd write poetry. That's what the Psalms are. Most of them are written by David. So, as one writer has said, and let me give you an aside here, men, when you're looking for a model for good manhood, you can look to David for some things. He was an adulterer and he killed some people and he had many, many wives. So, don't go, well, my pastor told me. All right, so I'm not talking about that, all right? Don't be morons. I'm talking about you're looking for a model of manhood. One writer helpfully pointed out that David has this great balance of being tough and tender. Men, that is the balance of your life. There are times you're supposed to be tough. There are times you're supposed to be tough. You're supposed to defend, you're supposed to lead, you're supposed to lay down, you're supposed to sacrifice for your family, for the people around you, for your city, for your church. Men, you're supposed to rise up and actually be tough in life. And then there are times you got to be tender with your wife and your kids and be romantic, and you got to love, and you got to love, and you got to kiss on your daughters and your sons and love them and read. I took my 13-year-old daughter to the mall, which is now going to be a theme, I realize. I didn't know this was a thing, because I was a boy growing up. I didn't love to just go to the mall for no reason. I'm literally driving my 13-year-old daughter to the mall yesterday, and we're driving in at 11, and I'm like, okay, so I'll just sit for a bit, I'll have a coffee, and then you'll be done, and then we'll drive home. She's like, okay, cool. So I'm like, so you'll be done by 12:31? She's like, I'll be done at 4. What? I'm already driving there. I'm like, 4? I didn't bring the right books. If you're gonna be here for 5 hours, what are you talking about? What could take you this long, right? And so she just shopped, but every time I saw her in the mall, she's walking around with her friends, right? They're all looking all cool, and they're shooting this video for the youth group, and it's pretty funny, but they're going around doing all this stuff, and every time I see her, give her a big hug and I kiss her right in front of her friends, because I want that to be normal. Because I want to be tender with my girls. In front of my girls, I make sure I tell their mom she's beautiful. Went to this party the other night, there's all these women. I'm like, I said, baby, you were the most beautiful woman in that room. Oh, stop it. But there was lots of beautiful women in that room. It's true, there were. But you were the most beautiful, right? And so it was like, you gotta be tender, man. You gotta pour into your wives, you gotta pour into your kids, you gotta be able to sit, and you gotta be tough, yeah, you gotta lead, you gotta side, but you gotta sit with the kids and read, and sometimes I'll sit and write songs with the kid, and sometimes I'll read poetry and I'll sing with them, whatever, and I'm not perfect, but I'm trying to strike that balance, because then sometimes you gotta be tough. Sienna came up to me in the mall yesterday and gives me a big hug, she's like, Daddy, And of course, I'm like, okay, this is going somewhere. She's like, we just need you to do one little thing for our movie. Just one little thing because we want to win this youth group competition. I'm like, what? She's like, so we're at the Tsawwassen Mall and there's this big bath shop. I have no idea how this thing is in business. It's like 1,000,000 square feet of nonsense. Like jackets that are camouflage, right? People in Langley South and Abbotsford site, you guys, all right? It's that stuff. It's like guns and fishing rods and like weird Jeeps and hats with it's crazy stuff. I don't know how this stuff is still in existence. Who's buying this nonsense? It's crazy. Anyway, that's an aside. So in this bath shop, there's a massive tank. And Sienna's like, Dad, just help us win this thing. All you need to do, she goes, we're in a mall, so it's okay, because there's lots of clothes you could buy after. We need you to jump into the tank. I'm like, what? She's like, don't worry about it. I go look at this tank. The fish are this big, right? There's 100 people staring at them. I'm like, not only is it illegal, but I don't want to do it. Come on, Daddy, please, 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 it'll be so good. There's so many clothes here you could buy. Yeah, walking out looking like a hunter, like bazap, right? No, I'm not going into a fish tank, right? That's me being tough. Okay, sometimes you gotta be tender, sometimes you gotta be tough. That's David, that's his life. And then it says, okay, so here's David, a Psalm of David, when he fled from Absalom, his son. Now, what does that mean? I'm gonna give you a really quick update on what that means, because this is where things get a little Game of Thrones-y and Sopranos-y and weird and Braveheart-y, okay? Absalom, keep track of these characters. So Absalom is the son of David. David had many wives, all right? So he had concubines, he had a whole thing going on. So he had many wives, and Absalom was the son, one of the sons, it was his third son, his favorite son of all the sons was Absalom. And he has a son with this woman, and then through that woman, they have this daughter, Tamar. So they're going through life, whatever, and this guy named Amnon rapes Tamar. Now, Amnon is David's eldest son from another woman. It's his oldest son. He rapes his half-sister, Tamar. So Absalom's mad at Amnon, and so he waits 2 or 3 years, and then he sets him up at a party, and he gets him drunk, and he kills him. All right, it's like Michael Corleone in The Godfather in the restaurant. He goes back, pulls the gun out behind the toilet. All right, so kills Amnon. And now he's got to flee. So he flees out for 3 years. He spends outside of Jerusalem. David's king. And then finally, David's like, please come back. And he comes back and he reinstates him. And Absalom's fine and everything's good. And about 4 years after, he starts to win the hearts of the people. And when he starts to win the hearts of the people, he wants to lead a revolt. So he leads a revolt against his own father, starts sleeping with his concubines, tries to take over power, and David has to flee. And so he gets out of Jerusalem and he runs because Absalom, his own son, is now trying to kill him. This is Days of Our Lives stuff, all right? This is Stefano's got Marlena in a bird cage for the summer type stuff, all right? Thank you, lady. All right, so, all right, this is crazy. So this is like layers of nonsense. These families were a mess. And that's what's going on. And so I won't tell you the end of the story about how it all ends with Absalom, but the point is, that's the historical context of this story. In the midst of David fleeing, he's feeling all of this pressure. How many are my foes? Many are rising against me. My own son's armies are now hunting me, and David runs around like Robin Hood for this point of his life. He brings some merry men with him, and they're running around Israel trying to escape the king from killing him. Now, the typology to Jesus is fascinating because, of course, Jesus later is going to be the true king of Israel, but then there's going to be a fake king called Herod who's trying to kill him as he runs around Israel with his band of merry men, establishing a real kingdom. I mean, it's fascinating. The Bible's never boring. Okay, here's the point. I'm feeling pressure and stress from all these enemies that are against me. Now, that might not be legitimate people coming against you, legitimate armies, but there's stuff in life that's killing you. And you're just like, life sucks right now, it's against me, my marriage, my stress, my friendships, my family, my finances, everything seems like it's going in the tank. I feel this pressure and stress, and so what does he do? What do you do? What are you supposed to do? This psalm tells us. Are you supposed to go in denial? Are you supposed to play the victim? Are you supposed to project? Here's what he does. First thing, Verse 1, oh Lord. Stop right there. You know what's beautiful? He prays. Now here's what we do when we get stress and pressure. See what he just did? See, what we do is we write a blog about it, or we write a tweet about it, or we do a Facebook status about it, or we talk to our friends about it, or we'll just talk to anybody who will listen about it. And we'll yammer, and we'll talk, and we'll talk, and we'll talk, and that is all horizontal talking. That's us talking to people who can't do anything about our circumstances, but we talk, and we talk, and we talk. Horizontally, he goes vertical. Oh Lord, he starts praying. The one thing you don't do, he does, because he wants to talk to the one who can actually do something about it. He speaks to God rather than about God, and he speaks to God rather than to people. First thing he addresses, this is prayer. This is the power that you have. Listen, I went to Australia a month ago, speak at a conference. Guy assigned me Jonah 1, Jonah 2, Jonah 3. I started looking through the Bible at all these great people. When they get in situations, here's principle number 1, y'all. They pray. Joseph, Job, Jesus, Jonah, every J in the Bible. When they get in trouble, they pray. And so I got to Jonah 2 in this, and I'm looking at all these leaders, and I'm like, what's the principle here? Literally, all of Jonah 2 is one big prayer. I'm dying here. The weeds are scratching my neck. They're making me die. I don't know what to do. Please, Lord, help me, please. Lord. And I'm like, what do I give these leaders? This lame principle, this weak-sounding principle. Hey, guys, make sure you pray. That's what it sounds like to people. It sounds weak. It sounds cliche. It sounds boring. It's anything but. Karl Barth said, folded hands, that's the ultimate posture of rebellion. That prayer, listen, we all want power in our life. We all want to accomplish great things. We all want to fix stuff. Every room across all these sites, you're sitting there in situations in life, you're like, I want to fix this, I want to fix that, I want power. You're not doing the one thing the Bible lays out for you to do, which is pray. That's where the power is. He's actually given you this crazy ability this is Acts chapter 1. The Spirit's going to drop to give you power for mission. Prayer's not just about you having a little quiet time with your coffee and you take a picture of yourself to post on Instagram and say, look, I prayed 6 times this year. That's not the power of prayer. Prayer has this crazy 2 things. Okay, some of you, you fall into one of these 2 traps. You think prayer is either just about bring the justice in the world, blah, blah, or it's just about your personal time with God. Both of those are a mistake. One is too sentimental, one is too static. Here's the reality. Kingdom prayer is a beautiful part of the Christian life. Communion prayer is a beautiful part of the Christian life. They're both what prayer does. So on the one hand, kingdom prayer, we wanna make sure that rape doesn't happen. We wanna make sure kids don't experience genocide. We want the kingdom to come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's kingdom stuff. That's stuff where you pray and the world gets better. Do you do any of that? This is Revelation chapter 8. The prayers of the saints go up, and then the bowl gets turned over, and it comes back down like lightning, what one writer calls reversed thunder. Prayer is reversed thunder. It goes up and comes down, and it actually affects the world. You have a power that you don't tap into. You spend your time working on it. You're like, well, I'm struggling with finances. I'm struggling with my marriage. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to work on it. I'm going to put time and energy and spend money. Talk. Look into my eyes, though. You know what I think the real solution? That you didn't look into my eyes and you didn't repeat back to me. All right? So what's your problem? I don't like you. Okay, repeat back what I said. All right? And so we try to work and we try to work and we try to work. We spend time. We spend money. We go to counselors. We do all this stuff, which is all great stuff. But we don't do the one power we got, which is, oh, Lord, I need help. Prayer. I want your kingdom to come like reverse thunder. I want this prayer that I send up to be reversed like a bowl and sent back down so my spouse starts to be what I want them to be. Please. You don't do that though. This week, all right, so prayer has an effect in ways that we know. Like this week, I was speaking at Wagner Hills, there's a recovery center, and I was like, Lord, what do I talk about? And they're like, well, you can speak on prodigal son. I'm like, can't speak on prodigal son, but Lord, what do you want to share with them? And so I just started to pray. I'm like, Lord, please tell me what to speak on. I got nothing for tonight. Give me something, give me something, give me something. It's not for me personally, it's for other people. It's a kingdom prayer. And so I start driving to work. The song comes on my thing. I got it on some radio thing, and the song comes on. Powerful song. I'm like, man, it's a powerful song. Go back and listen to it again. By James Blunt, called Monsters. It's this kid, this guy, middle-aged, whatever, and he's sitting at the bedside of his dying dad, and he's like, man, don't worry about the mistakes you've made. And then he has this beautiful line where he says, because his dad's scared and he's dying, it's the last time he's gonna sit with him. He says, Dad, it's my time to turn them, to chase the monsters away. You chased the monsters away from me as a kid. Now you're afraid and you're dying, and I'm gonna chase the monsters away from you. And I'm sitting there with 2 dead dads and daddy issues, of my own, and I'm crying in my car. I'm like, yeah, I chased the monsters away. I'm like, gosh. I'm like, Mike, it's beautiful. Right? And then I forgot about the song for the rest of the day. And so I listened to the song on the way home, and I'm sitting there, and half an hour before I leave to go speak at Wagner Hills, finally, God's like, hey, clearly this guy's not getting the point. And he just the Holy Spirit, just literally almost in the same room as me, he's like, play the song tonight, idiot. All right, I'm like, what? It's for them. That's why I gave it to you in the car this morning. It wasn't for you. It was for all these people that are trying to recover from addictions, whose fathers beat them, neglected them, and you're about to preach a passage to them about a good father, and you're gonna end it by giving them this song so they can go back to their dads and forgive them. That's what it's about. I was like, oh. And so I played this song, and the whole room's just weeping as there's forgiveness. See, this is what God does. You pray about something, he actually answers, but you gotta be smart enough to listen. Pay attention, open your eyes. I prayed a thing, and now he's answering it. And some of you are like, yeah, but I don't want to pray a prayer. Look at the language he uses. It's crazy. But you, O Lord, are a shield about me, my glory and the lifter of my head. We'll get to that. I cried aloud to the Lord, and he answered me from his holy hill. I lay down and slept. I woke again, for the Lord sustained me. I will not be afraid of many thousands of people who have set themselves against me all around. So all these guys are coming at me. Arise, O Lord, save me, for you strike, underline this, you strike all my enemies on the cheek. You break the teeth of the wicked. That's the best prayer in the Bible. Guys, he just prayed that God breaks the teeth of his enemies. It's beautiful. Now, here's why you don't pray prayers like that. Because you're afraid. You're like, well, what if I pray wrong? What if I say the wrong thing? Some of you are type A, right? Like you still have a BlackBerry, right? Like that type A. And you're like, well, I have to come before the Lord, and I have to acknowledge that I need to confess, then I need to do thanksgiving, then I do supplication, and everything's got organized, and we come in, and we're orderly, and that's how some of you think. And you've never in your life gone, Lord, I hate that guy at work, can you please break his teeth? Do you know why you don't pray like that? Because your prayers aren't biblical, that's why. You're supposed to pray like this. You're not supposed to bury it and pretend you're not human. This is what's beautiful at the Bible. It goes, when you don't pray like this, you're denying something core to your humanity, which is that sometimes you do get mad. Sometimes you are ticked off with the world. Sometimes you are depressed. And all you want is for that enemy to die. All you want is for that enemy to suffer. And so you're afraid to pray prayers like this, because what if you say the wrong wording to the Lord? And he just went, there's no wrong wording. You don't think I can handle it? I got thick skin, man. You did nothing you could say that would offend me. This psalm, right off the bat, goes, you come before the Lord, you lay it out. And you're like, well, what if I say the wrong thing? Right? Listen, when I was in junior high, I prayed, Lord, 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 please, I got this girlfriend. All right, I hope I marry her. All right, I hope I marry her. Please, Lord, let me marry her. And he answered me. You know how? We broke up, but I met, and then I'm like, why did you do it, Lord? You obviously don't know what you're doing. What's going on? And then I met Aaron, and now in retrospect, I look back, all right, you start seeing people on Facebook, and you're like, oh, thank you, Jesus, for getting me out of that, all right? So, because the reality is, here's the beautiful thing. Read Romans 8 about prayer. It says the Spirit groans and intercedes for you before the Father when you don't even know what to say. So here's the beautiful thing. The way your prayers, you can say anything you want in prayer, and the reason is because the Spirit will take it and turn it into something before God, and he says, listen, your prayers, by the time they get to me, All they're saying is the information that you would say if you knew what I knew. That's what the Spirit does. If you knew everything that I know, then you would have prayed like this. So that's how I get your prayer. That's why you can pray however you want. Look at break the teeth of my enemies. Some of you, you're burying stuff, right? You experience anger and fear and frustration, and you just bury it. You project, you play victim, you deny it. That's because you don't have a prayer life that's healthy. Because here's the thing, God can handle it. And you know what hit me that was super deep? This week, as I read this text, I realized, do you know why we're supposed to pray like this? You know why we're supposed to go, God, I want you to kill my enemies, destroy their families, break all their teeth? I mean, that's a pretty stark image. Break their teeth. Like, I want my coworker who ticks me off and stole my money to come in tomorrow with broken up teeth and a bleeding face. Like, I don't know what happened. My teeth got all broken, right? Like I guarantee in your community group this week, everyone is like, Father God, we just love you. Thank you for the cookies. Thank you for our life. We just pray we have a good holiday. I guarantee guy beside you didn't go, and I pray this guy breaks his teeth this week, and Lord, you just kill everybody. I can almost guarantee you no one prayed like that. And I'll tell you why you should. And here's the deep thing that hit me. Here's why you should pray like that. Because the only way, listen to me, the only way, it's very important, the only way that we in our life don't end up going and actually breaking someone's teeth is if we pray about breaking their teeth. God has given us the outlet of prayer so we don't actually do this stuff. When Jesus comes along and he goes, hey, someone slaps you on the face, you turn to him the other cheek. You never return violence for violence. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. Why can Jesus say that? The reason you can act like that, the reason you never take vengeance out yourself is because you're able to theologize violence, as Miroslav Volf says. Make God the one who will be violent one day so that you don't have to. See, if God is going to take out justice, you never have to take out justice. So teenager, on social media, I don't care what people have said about you. I don't care if they've hacked. I don't care if they've done terrible things to you. Your life as a Christian is to say, I never return that vengeance because God will break their teeth. I'm not gonna go beat somebody up. I'm not gonna bully someone and cyberbully someone online. I'm not gonna make fun of a girl. I'm not gonna do any of that because in the end, justice is God's job. That's beautiful. He's saying if you pray like this, then you're not gonna act unhealthily toward other people. And so you've got kingdom prayer. Bring about justice in the world. Break the teeth of bad people who have wronged me. Do it, Lord, do it. And when you do that, you're talking to the one person who can actually do something about it versus friends and anybody who will listen. You're talking to the one person who could actually bring justice. So that's kingdom prayer. But the other beautiful part of prayer is the personal communion. The idea that you yourself will grow. That's what prayer is about. It's about not changing God, but changing you, right? Tim Keller says it this way. He says, prayer is the main way we experience deep change, the reordering of our lives. Prayer is how God gives us so many of the unimaginable things he has for us. Listen to this. Indeed, prayer makes it safe for God to give us many of the things we most desire. It makes because we become the kinds of people. So C.S. Lewis says this, you may be filled with self-pity. You may be filled with justifying resentment. You may be filled with anger towards someone. Then you sit down and pray, and your heart gets reoriented in God's presence, and the pettiness of your feelings and your self-justifying excuses all go away because you pray, you pray, you pray. Even on a secular level, the power of prayer. He goes, oh God, on a secular level. You read the book called God-Shaped Brain. They hooked up a bunch of things on people's brains and realized that when they pray, they actually have a healthier brain capacity, that the positive parts of their brain are firing and the negative parts of their brain are being repressed when you pray. This is why, on a secular level, Howard Stern, Jerry Seinfeld, Jim Carrey, they all meditate and pray. If you would have told me in the mid-90s that Ace Ventura was a man of prayer, all right, Ace Ventura, pet detective, all righty then, and he's meditating. I would bet you $1 million, Jim Carrey ain't ever gonna meditate. So why does he pray? Because it's good for their mental game. God wants what's best for you, and this is why he says, you want power? It's in prayer. Now, but this is hard. Because the oh Lord immediately goes, you gotta go vertical with this thing, when all you wanna do is go horizontal with it. It's hard, and that's because it's great. And anything great in life is hard, right? Marriage is great, but it's hard, it's difficult, it's a lot of hard work. I came home from a thing this week, it was 10 o'clock at night. My 2 youngest daughters ran into my bed as I walked in the house. Now this is my bed, right? Henry Cloud has a book called Boundaries. Read it, kids. He also has a book called Necessary Endings, which I'm about to lay down right now if you don't get out of my bed. So, I got boundaries. Get out of my bed. No, Daddy. And then they straight up lied. You said last night that we could sleep in your bed. This is classic childhood nonsense. The reason I know I never did that is because I would never do that. It's my bed. You said, and then they start to freak out. And I'm now having a fight. I'm pulling this youngest one by her feet off of my bed as the other one punches me in the arms to save her sister. And I'm like, get out of my bed. It's 10:30, out of my bed, out of my bed. Daddy, you said you're not. Now she's on me and she's struggling with me and I'm like pulling them and I throw them in their bed and they're crying and I shut the door, they're crying. And I look down and my wife is sitting in the living room on her phone with her legs crossed, just scrolling. I'm like, do you want to help me up here? She's like, do you want to stop talking to them like a 15-year-old? And then it was on. I'm like, man, you need to rethink your life. Who even are you? And it was fight time, all right? Because she was taking their side. Guys, listen, I got a microphone. Let me just talk for a second, all right? Why is she taking their side? So we got in this big fight. Marriage is hard. Marriage is difficult. So the next night I said, kids, you can sleep in my bed, it's fine. I don't even want to sleep in my bed. You can sleep with Mom, I'll be on the couch. Didn't happen. But reality is, marriage is hard, and the reason it's hard is because it's great, right? Prayer is hard because it's great. It's hard that you can't see him and touch him and taste him and be able to, it's hard. He's not physically there, and so it's hard. Tim Keller in his book on prayer talks about the fact that it took him 2 years to get good at prayer. 2 years of praying and meditating and reading the Psalms every day. He said his wife, Kathy, asked him, can you pray with me every single night from this day forward? And he said, I can't remember a day in the midst of all my travels, even if I'm on different time zones, different continents. He said, I can't remember a day that I didn't pray with her before she went to bed. And he said, but I spent 2 years of my life working hard before prayer cracked. Some of you give it 2 days and you're like, I don't know, the returns are garbage, doesn't do anything for me, moving on. All of that from this first word, oh Lord, because he looks and he says in the midst of this prayer, you know what he does? The big principle? He takes his eyes off listen to me, takes his eyes off his enemies, takes his eyes off his circumstances, and puts them onto God. And that's what heals him. Because God's the only one who can do anything about it. You, O Lord, now listen to the beautiful answer. You're a shield about me. Right? Verse 3, you are a shield about me. This is like a picture of like God is a shell and guys are hammering him with swords trying to get at him. And he's like, you're my shield. Listen, some of you just need this concept of God for a second because your concept of God is that he's malevolent, that he's mean, that he's nasty, that he's against you in your life. You just need to hear what David says here. Circumstances are crushing me. Lord, do something about it. He's not even afraid. He's just saying what he feels. I hate these people. Break their faces open, break their teeth, break their heads, do whatever you need to do. Please help me. But you are a shield about me, my glory, and the lifter of my head. Isn't that beautiful? It's like you're like this and you're before God and you're like this and he lifts up your head. He's like, look at me. It's a shame thing. He's reversing the shame and the guilt of your life. It's like he's the lifter of he lifts my head up. He gives me confidence. I cried aloud to the Lord, and he answered me from his holy hill. He actually answered me. Amazing things. He actually solved what I was looking for. This is how practical he is. He saves, he shields, he solves when we turn our attention away from our enemies and toward God. It's like this. It's like one writer I know wrote an article called Don't Waste Your Cancer. And it was a few months after he'd got a cancer diagnosis and he was going in for surgery. He'd written a book called Don't Waste Your Life, John Piper. And he talks about the idea of don't waste your cancer. And one of the points he makes is don't spend more time Googling and looking up information about your cancer than you do reading what the scriptures say about your life. Don't spend more time on your enemies. Take your countenance and lift your eyes to a God who's going to burn away the fear. This is what we need to do in life. Your enemy ain't your spouse. Your enemy ain't your financial situation. It ain't the coworkers. It ain't your family. It's Satan, it's sin, it's death, it's temptations. And the only way to get away from all of that is to lift your eyes to him and realize who he is. He's a good father. You're a shield. You lift my head. I cried and you answered. How beautiful is that? And this was Spurgeon's only solution. So here's what Spurgeon said as he dealt with the pain. Because of course, when you lift your eyes toward heaven, what you're admitting humbly is you actually need a savior. Like listen to what he says in verse 8. Salvation belongs to the Lord. Your blessing be on your people. You know what he just said? I don't care what Oprah tells you. I don't care what New Age philosophy tells you, what Elizabeth Gilbert tells you, what Eckhart Tolle tells you. I don't care what they say. Here's Deepak Chopra, all these writers who have the souls and hearts of especially West Coast people. Some of you Calgary people may not be a thing. West Coast people, they love this stuff. New Age philosophy, I think good thoughts, law of attraction, universe brings it back to me. I can save myself. That's why Disney stopped doing princesses, by the way. Because they're like, we're sick of telling stories where women just get saved by men. And so they stopped. That's why Frozen, Elsa's her own savior. She don't need no man. Right? I'll look inside me and I'll save me. I'm the one I've been waiting for. Go watch the music. Go listen to the music. She's the one who's going to save herself. No, I love Frozen. It's great. And there's a piece of that that's true. Women in power, hashtag love you. Point is, we all need saving from without, though. Outside of us. Someone to save us. We cannot save ourselves. Verse 8, salvation belongs to the Lord. He's the one who does it. He's the one who sent his son to save you because you cannot save yourself. You are the common denominator in all of your problems. I don't care. Get your list out of everybody who's ever wronged you. The one person on the list every time is you. Salvation belongs to the Lord. So here's what Spurgeon said as he watched in the midst of his depression. And I hope this sermon helps people in the midst of that. Because I know there's people all over our church, all over our sites that deal with it. Spurgeon, as he preached one day, he was already depressed. Wouldn't get up in the morning, didn't want to walk, didn't want to see anybody, couldn't deal with the thing that was in him. The depression of spirit, as he calls it. And he was preaching one day and someone had set up a thing and they yelled fire. And thousands of people in the room stormed out and 7 people were trampled to death. He said it was the worst day of his life. And every time he looked at his Bible, he would cry. He couldn't even look at it. He hated life. This is the prince of preachers. This is Charles Spurgeon, who smoked a pipe, by the way, which I tried to use to justify me smoking, but everyone in the Baptist committee said I couldn't. So here's what Spurgeon said. Here's what Spurgeon said. I'll give you a couple paragraphs, and then I'll finish. Men will never become great in divinity until they become great in suffering. Ah, said Luther, affliction is the best book in my library. And let me add the best leaf in the book of affliction, he says, is that blackest of all the leaves, the leaf called heaviness. When the spirit sinks within us and we cannot endure as we could wish. And yet again, the heaviness is of essential use to a Christian if he would allow it to help him do good to others. There are none so tender as those who've been skinned themselves. Those who have been in the chamber of affliction know how to comfort those who are there. Do not believe that any man will become a physician unless he walks the hospitals. You see his imagery? This is why he's the Prince of Preachers. His images are so potent. He says, perhaps there may be no way of teaching us so thoroughly the baseness of our heart as by leaving us to its devices. Perhaps we shall never know our folly unless we suffer to play the fool. Better to be taught by suffering than to be taught by sin. Better to lie in God's dungeon than to revel in the devil's palace. Our Father's wagons rumble most heavily when they're bringing us the richest freight of the bullion of his grace. Love letters from heaven are often sent in black-edged envelopes. The cloud that is black with horror is big with mercy. Fear not the storm. It brings healing in its wings. I'm going to throw it to the lead pastors to pray for us now. Father, please let us bring even our darkness to you. Heal it and solve it. Salvation comes from you.